Yeah. Hello team, welcome to episode number 41 of the RDO podcast. I'm back. From another bout of illness. Thanks Nate again for knocking me out. But on that note, I just wanted to say thank you to Liam again for super subbing in last week at short notice. Did a fantastic job. Pretty sure one of our regulars referred to him as a jacked nerd, which I think is probably a pretty good compliment considering what Liam's been up to lately.
Yeah, I think he'd take that. He'd accept that.
Yeah, so Liam, you jacked nerd. Thanks for tagging in. Yeah. But I got to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed. Because Liam and I had a conversation before he came on, and he had one job, and he didn't complete it.
What was that?
So if you go back 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
there was a little bit of trash talk from yourself in regards to a round of golf that we had planned for a weekend.
It doesn't sound like something I'd do.
No, it doesn't at all, does it? So we might have to rewind the tape for this one. But I asked Liam to not, I was really disappointed when I got sick. I knew it was going to happen because you stuffed up and I really wanted an opportunity to hand it to you and I didn't get that. So I asked Liam, I said, Liam, there's one thing that you need to bring up. You need to bring up the fact that Alex not only talked mad shit about playing golf on the weekend, not only did he want to bet some doge on the result of the game, but then he fucking no-showed on the Sunday. No-showed. Which means lost by forfeit.
Well, no. So
lost by forfeit.
Never competed. It was the first time I've ever done that. And I'm really...
Because you were scared. Because you finally put some skin in the game. You put some doge in the game. You knew that doge was going up, so it was going to be expensive for you to pay out. And you forfeited. You didn't show up. You didn't make the walk.
I was the opposite of scared, especially when I saw the scorecards, which were appalling.
Now, I posted the scorecards. They were appalling. However, it was literally like Waterworld out there. So the golf course that we typically play at when the boys catch up is a place called Lakeside Country Club. It's a very short course. There's only one par 4 in it. Everything else is par 3. And as the name suggests, being lakeside, it is beside a lake. It's near the wetlands in Helensvale. There's mangroves and everything, and it had been raining for a few days in the lead up to this. It was legit like Waterworld out there. Like, I'm pretty sure there's is it the 7th hole where you can have a look out over the lake out the back? I'm pretty sure I saw Kevin Costner out there on a raft.
It's a Waterworld reference for anyone that grew up in the 90s and watched.
Yeah, showing the age a little bit. Yeah. No one will know what I'm talking about.
So no, I literally just slept through it. Jason rang me at 20 past 7 or something and said, "Oh, are you close?" And I'm like, "To what?" I totally forgot. And Touch and I had spoken about
we literally talked shit about it the day before the podcast.
Yeah, but I think because the long weekend, the Friday and Monday off.
Look, whatever excuse you want to say, it's fine.
Threw me a bit.
The reality situation is, if you rewind the tape, you bet some doge for it, and you lost by forfeit.
Well, I never played, so I never entered. And I know for a fact that I would have destroyed you guys.
Hey, no, you wouldn't have.
I've been going to the driving range twice a week.
Yeah, the driving range. You only get to use the driver once at Lakeside.
Who said I used the driver at the driving range? Well, I'm not an idiot.
It's the hints in the name. You're supposed to.
Well, there you go. That's another reason why I'd beat you, because you just assume things.
But I love it how you're trash talking. You had your opportunity, mate, and you forfeited.
How many times have I rung you about golf and you're still in bed, and you just have the benefit of living 5 minutes? Let me finish. And you just benefit from living 5 minutes away from the golf course, as opposed to an hour away from the golf course.
Well, whose fault is that? You can move.
No.
If you really
playing in Brisbane
wanted to prove your skills, you would move closer to the course.
Well, we'll do it again. I'll double down.
We'll do it again. You just won't show up again.
I'll double.
Great. You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. We'll okay. So what's the doge bet for next time? And we'll go double or nothing. Because you bet 100 doge last time, so let's go double or nothing. So you either have to pay him 100 doge or 200 doge.
Yeah, so it's 200 doge is the next.
Yeah,
is the next one.
So you have to pay me 200 doge, or if you win, which you won't, but if you do, we have to pay nothing.
Although I don't think we should be encouraging the use of doge at the minute, after what's transpired in the last couple of days.
Yeah, possibly.
Elon Musk Uncle Elon, who I used to call him, he's really done a bad thing by the crypto community and all the people that have followed him so far.
Yeah,
and I'm actually really disappointed. So for those who don't know, he's been he mentioned Doge on Saturday Night Live like 5 times, pumped the price up. He's made all the memes in the past. He got Tesla to buy all this Bitcoin.
He called it a hustle on.
That wasn't a problem. And in the last couple of days, he'd posted that Tesla will no longer be accepting Bitcoin as payment for cars because of the power consumption used on the Bitcoin network. And that's incorrect. Like, what he's used is incorrect. Like, he's and it's driven the price of crypto down. Now, I'm not worried about the price down. If anything, I'm actually going to buy some more because it has corrected in a very large way. But I don't like the idea that one person has so much influence over that and can say something that is technically incorrect. So someone raised a good point and posted the information there. If you use folding money to buy that it's used way more than Bitcoin. If you
dirty fiat is all referred to folding money.
If you've used like a bank, well, do we just assume that banks don't use power?
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, obviously not. ATM machines and the whole lot.
Well, no, banks generate their power because they've got like 4-year-old third world children out the back on bikes, just pedaling.
Yeah,
that's
potentially, but no, very disappointed. So maybe we shouldn't use Doge. Maybe we should do another coin. How about?
Before you move on from the Elon thing, because I've got a theory on this which I think I shared with you during the week, which was so Tesla is obviously an electric car company. It is about being environmentally friendly.
Sure.
So obviously he's trying to go down the environmentally friendly angle by stopping accepting Bitcoin at the moment. I feel like perhaps, and it'd be interesting to actually go back through and check Tesla's sales numbers, because I wouldn't be surprised if his sales have gone backwards since Tesla moved their factory and moved their operations from California, which is a Democratic state, to Texas, which is a Republican state. Because all the moves that he's made recently look to me like he's trying to appease Democratic voters and potentially to get those customers back that he may have lost by moving. One of the reasons why I feel that happened is because I did see an article, it would have been weeks ago, but about Tesla's first quarter results from this year, and it was saying that like they were up dollar-wise, but it was because they sold a fair chunk of their Bitcoin holdings. Not
$100 million worth.
Yeah, but it wasn't all of it that they were holding, but they had obviously made a lot of money by selling that. Now, the fact that their numbers were only marginally up, but because they sold that, would indicate to me that perhaps the sales numbers were lagging behind.
But no manufacturers selling cars at the moment. They can't make them. Chip shortage. There's no cars.
Yeah,
the factories are shut.
Point too. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, I just feel like, you know, the appearing on SNL thing, I thought was to appeal to a certain audience, because SNL's appealed to that audience for a long time. And I just refuse to watch it, because I've not found SNL funny for many years. Like, it was funny when I was a kid, but now that I'm older, and I guess I have a bit more wisdom and intelligence and nuance when it comes to humour. I mean, I don't... Fart, dick and poo jokes are still the funniest jokes, but SNL I've just not found funny for a long time, and I didn't think putting a billionaire with commercial interests and Asperger's on was going to make it any funnier.
So, I don't think it, like, we've never been real big Saturday Night Live watchers, and I think because there's probably 2 camps back in the day, which is like, are you an SNL watcher or you're a Mad TV?
And we were Mad TV people.
For sure, Mad TV, and, you know, I would rather go and watch Brian Callen or Bobby Lee do something than watch SNL. But I watched half of it, and it sucked. It was so, like, it was not funny. The skits went for too long. Like, I can see them trying to stretch it out. Some of the parts, I thought Elon was good when he played him.
Yeah.
But when they dressed him up as Wario to do, you know, the worst one was actually, they got him to play like a Western character. He can't do a Western accent to save himself, and the script writers, it was so lame. It just like there was nothing funny about it.
Yeah.
But what the ones there was a good skit that I think I sent you guys when he was like an awkward post-COVID conversations or something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really good one. The ones that let him be him, because he's a funny guy. He's actually
a funny guy. But the thing is, I feel like, so when you sent that, I watched that one. I couldn't finish it because it actually wasn't funny. But I think that because you watched the rest of the show, that was the funniest of all of them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the low standard that was set by the other ones made that one seem funnier.
I think you're right.
But when you really think about it too, like the only real reason why Elon would have appeared on that show is for commercial reasons.
Oh, for sure.
Like you got to think about the amount of time that the time investment from Elon to actually appear on SNL. Like he would have obviously been there for some of the writing. He would have had to block some of this stuff before they actually. It's not like he just rolled up on the day. They gave him a script and he went out and did it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that he only budgets like, is it 8 or 10 hours a week for his relationships?
Something like something crazy.
Something ridiculous. So again, like when you think about something's got to give. So what's the point of giving? Okay, well, it's got to be a commercial reason behind it.
Oh, it makes total sense. That's why everyone does it.
Yeah.
Stay relevant. Pump a movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
That's normal.
And he does still want to be seen as the people's billionaire. Like, and he's still got that, obviously. But he's, they're not perfect, and he's starting to make some mistakes, starting to have some slip-ups.
Yeah, that and look, a lot of people prior to that were critical of the fact that he was playing around with markets. Where one tweet can affect a market.
Yeah.
Like no person on planet Earth has the pull power with a tweet on financial markets as what Elon has. So,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, part of me thinks that they had just sold a sizable portion of their Bitcoin, so. As a business person with that sort of pull, do you just tank the market and then buy the dip?
Could do.
And you just buy, and it's not Tesla that buys the dip, but I'm sure he can funnel money through a shell company or something like that ends up buying the dip.
Well, Tesla can buy it because apparently the reason why Tesla sold $100 million was to show stockholders how easy it was to access those funds.
Right. Yeah, because they got spooked.
Oh, I did the same thing in 2017. Everyone was like, yeah, like it's all a fraud and you can't get it. It's a Ponzi scheme. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just withdraw some. There you go. Just pull the $100 out to prove it to myself.
Yeah.
They just pulled $100 million out because they're a bit bigger than Alex Corp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Litecoin, not a Litecoin. I'll give you we'll wager some Litecoin because I'm off that Doge bus. It's dangerous. It's gambling. I'm not a gambler.
Yeah, like I said in the group chat the other day, like Doge, you have to. It is punting, and it's punting on feelings rather than fundamentals. Like Doge is not a fundamentalist coin. Like I sent you guys a picture yesterday, and it was someone on Reddit asking the creator of Doge if he had thought about the energy consumption when it came to making transactions, because remarkably, Doge actually uses far less energy than Bitcoin does.
Yeah.
And the maker of it responded by saying, I literally made Doge in about 2 hours. I wasn't considering anything. Because it was just a joke.
Yeah.
But like that joke is still at like 10x of what it was 3 months ago. And it's still stagnating there. So.
And on the Doge front, I've got a bone to pick with you. Who purchased Doge knowing that I had shorted it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So you cost me money.
Good.
And how much did you lose?
I haven't lost any.
Have you kept it? Because it tanked, just like what my short.
So, but you pulled out your short early and lost money.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
But no, I like Doge. I'll check this morning. I checked yesterday. It's literally sitting where I bought it. Because I bought it just on 70 cents.
But if you want to play those games, if you want to play
and
those...
it's at 71.4 cents this morning, so I'm up.
So if you want to play those games, so I can play. I can play.
Well, you can't play.
Yeah, I can. And I can play a lot larger than you.
Well, how?
Well, I can long and short, so whatever you buy, I'll just do the opposite.
I just won't tell you what I'm buying, because I'm not an idiot. So you can play by yourself, just like you played golf by yourself last week.
I was super disappointed because two of the guys bought Doge whilst I'd said I'd just shorted it, so SNL happened. I'm like, okay, it's going to tank after this, and it did exactly what I thought.
Yep.
And then these guys are like, oh, I'm buying it. So you're literally trying to cost me money. So
No, I was trying to make myself money.
But you would have made money if you had done what I had said. But it was the attitudes of people like you
But
that
I'm
went.
anti-short, and I've told you that for months.
Yeah.
But I'm anti-short.
Still, you don't bite the hand that feeds.
When have you fed me?
You would never even be in it if it wasn't for me. You would not even know the first thing about it if it wasn't for me.
But biting the hand that feeds, like shorting, is essentially biting the hand that feeds.
No.
Because if
you still don't understand how it works.
You've made the majority of your money off long positions on cryptos. So the long positions have fed you, and then you've shorted a cryptocurrency.
Shorting is a function.
Anyway, we don't need to get into long and shorting.
No. But what we do need to get into is that you shouldn't be making moves that cost each other money when the whole idea is that we're in it together. And the whole reason why let me finish. The whole reason why I started that group is that we all knew what was happening at all the same time. And then when I told you what I did, and then you went exactly the opposite, which actually that hurts my position. That's not cool. That goes against what that whole group is about.
We didn't buy it just to screw you over. We bought it because you buy dips in cryptocurrencies. That's generally what you would do when you're trying to track. So when you see something that has a big dip and you see the discount, you see the value in it, that's when you buy into it. And I don't think the $400 worth of Doge that I bought at the time would have been a significant enough amount to hugely negatively affect your short.
No, but it's something, and it literally went against, like totally against. It was you literally bet against me. Even though I put the bet in first and you bet against me.
Yeah, but
that's how I saw it.
But so what you're saying is that if you have a shorter position, that we're not allowed to try to go and profit out of a discount. So we just all have to hold out because you've shorted. So that's a pretty selfish thing to do.
No, you could have shorted it too, and we could have all made money.
Yeah, but I'm anti-short.
Yeah, well then stay out of it. So what you said is you're happy as long as you profit from it. Yeah, but that's okay. But then why have a group? So you can't have it both ways. Can you see what you've done there? So I started a group so that we could talk about it, so we could all make money together. Now this is a position that you guys knew I was in, and you guys went against it, and told me about it. So you guys actually cost me money.
Well, you ended up actually costing yourself money because it actually ended up doing what you thought it was going to do as well. And I don't think that the amount of money that we had put into it was going to significantly affect your position.
It's not the point. You've bet against me. You actually bet with your money, and you bet against my position, knowing what my position was. And that's not cool.
Okay, so let's call it even, because me costing you some money on Doge, that can pay your Doge bet by losing by forfeit at golf.
It's not your position to... you don't speak for the whole crew, the whole golf crew.
Okay, golf crew, because I know the golf crew watches this. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, do you want... Okay, so are you going to let Jason just cancel it out because he dogged me?
You lost by forfeit, mate.
Or do you want... No, I never entered.
You lost by forfeit. So if you've got, let's say the NRL Grand Final's coming up, right? And actually, let's say it's the NRL Grand Final 2022, because the Broncos are going to be in it, because I'll get to that shortly, even though we lost 50-6 last night.
50-6?
50-6. Got absolutely pumped by Manly. It's Magic Round at the moment. Magic Round. And we magically lost by 50-6 at home. And that's actually one of Manly's home games. They classed it as a home game at Suncorp Stadium because they're playing all the games this weekend. What an absolute shit show. But anyway, during the week, so the Broncos signed Adam Reynolds. Now, you know nothing about footy, but I'm just going to say, this is the best signing the Broncos have made in at least my memory.
Okay.
I would say at a minimum. So when I say signing, I mean signing from a different club. We've always been good at producing our own talent. Sure. In recent years, we've been really good at producing that talent and letting it go at other clubs, i.e. David Fafita of the Titans. But Adam Reynolds is the player that we've needed for a decade. So we haven't had a decent half since Darren Lockyer retired, which was 10 years ago. We, for some reason, have just never been able to either produce or attract one in that time. Adam Reynolds is a premiership winner at South Sydney. He's been being coached by Wayne Bennett for the last 2 years. He is the guy who can actually control the whole team and direct them around the park. And last night's game against Manly was a perfect example of why a halfback is so important, because we never got the chance to build any pressure. So what that means, when you got a team like ours, we've got a very young team. I think the average age is like just under 24 years old in our team. So they're very, very young. And the thing is, because we've been getting pumped all season and last season too, what happens is every time we get down into the attacking zone, we shit our pants because we're like, we need to score now, we need to score now, we need to score now.
Right.
But if you look at the good teams, if you look at the Storm, the Roosters, those guys, or the Panthers, they don't try to score off every single set. What they do is they build pressure. So if they get down in the attacking zone, if something's on, they'll take it. They'll take the opportunity.
But happy to grind. If they
But they're happy to grind. So what they'll do is if there's nothing on, they'll just grub right into your in goal, tackle you in goal, get a dropout and a repeat set.
Yeah.
And they just wail on you. And it's like the ocean banging up against a cliff face, right? There's only so long that cliff face is going to hold, and then there'll be a crack in it, and then they'll score. Man, last night, like our fifth tackle options when we're attacking were atrocious, as they've been for 18 months. And even actually, it's been longer than that they've been atrocious. Like, we just don't build any pressure. But when Adam Reynolds comes next year, that's what he'll be able to do. He's great at doing those little kicks into the in goal. Excuse me. You know, get those repeat sets, build that pressure, because defending saps your energy. So
for sure.
if you don't make another team defend, no wonder why they run over you and attack.
Yeah.
You know, so...
How old is he?
I think he's 31.
So an older
way older
guy.
head, very experienced.
Yep.
The other thing too, like, Jermaine Osako is real rocks or diamonds when it comes to goal kicking.
Right.
Adam Reynolds is one of the best goal kickers in the league as well.
Doesn't sound like goal kicking is their issue though.
Yeah, if you can't score a try, you can't kick it.
You've got no opportunity to do it.
Massive signing for us.
And is that enough, do you think, to tie... Like, will that turn a 50-6 to a win?
Well, look, the biggest thing is that builds legitimacy in the club and will allow us to attract other players to play around him. And I don't think we're too many pieces away from having an actual decent team. Because our forward pack's very, very good. But I can see how our forward pack has the shits, because they put in, week out, they make the meters up the middle, they do all the tough stuff in defence, but then the halves just stuff it up every time.
Yeah.
So imagine how frustrating that is when you're like taking those, 5-meter charges out of your own in goal week in, week out, getting pumped by 2 or 3 players in a solid defensive line, because every time that you actually get the good field position, your halves just stuff it up.
Yeah.
Every time. It is so frustrating. But knowing Adam Reynolds is coming to the club means we are far more likely to not only be able to re-sign our good young talent, which we've already done a pretty good job of re-signing some of them lately anyway. Like Katoni Staggs just re-signed, which is a massive signature for us. We've still got Payne Haas tied up for a few more years. Jordan Riki, another good young guy coming through, he's signed. So we've got a lot of good young talent. But I reckon if we can attract a good fullback, and I think Nico Hines is in our targets from the Storm, who's like their second, well actually he's probably more like their third or fourth choice fullback at the moment, but the Storm's just that good, they can just...
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. But he wants to get a full-time starting spot, and I think he's potentially in our sights. And again, knowing that you're going to be playing off someone like an Adam Reynolds, you'd go and sign that. As a young kid who's very, very good, you'd go and sign that for sure. They
need some hope, don't they? This
is the hope.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is the hope. And the other rumour that I've heard is that Wayne Bennett... So Wayne Bennett's moving back to Queensland next year, so he's off contract with Souths after this year, and he's moving back up to Queensland. And the rumour is that Wayne Bennett is going to be re-signing with the Broncos as like a football manager. So not the coach, but kind of the coach.
Yeah.
He'll
the coach's coach.
Yeah. And again, he's one of those guys that any player out there wants to be around.
For sure.
Right? He's the man.
Yep.
He is the man. Look at how successful the Storm are. Craig Bellamy was assistant coach under Bennett when he was at the Broncos.
Yeah, well, it's
all
tied to one.
It's all tied, right? So this is the hope that me and the rest of the Broncos family have been waiting for a long, long time.
Who got pumped last week or the week before? 50-0.
50 Souths last week.
Yeah, okay, that's weird.
Look, they had.
Did they rest?
They had some key men out injured. And normally that would be an excuse, but the Roosters have had like, they've been decimated by injuries all season. Like, I'm pretty sure the Roosters have lost somewhere around 8 or 9 of their top 13 players, and they're still winning games.
You're right.
And if they do lose, they lose close games.
Yeah.
Like, again, to me, it's a culture issue, right? When you might have a few players out, but you can still defend. You might not be able to score points. But
sure.
As a team, you should at least be able to defend.
Yeah.
And that's a mindset and a mentality thing. Now, again, not saying that Souths doesn't have the right mindset, because they're a pretty gritty team. And some of the guys they've had out, like Cameron Murray, he's a very, very good defensive player, covers a lot of holes and stuff, does a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on stats, but you really notice it when he's not there. But yeah, 50-0 was pretty major.
That's huge.
That's huge. Yeah.
Well, on another sporting thing, last week's Spanish Formula One GP, which is usually a boring race because it's an old school track and the cars now are so big that they don't really pass. And we thought, so Lewis Hamilton on pole position, Max Verstappen started up next to him. Max Verstappen did this beautiful pass into like the second corner, muscled Hamilton out. Great. So we thought, okay, sweet, this is on. For anyone, and now I've never been a Hamilton fan, but I am becoming a Hamilton fan now. Now he is, in my opinion, he is the greatest of all time, and he's proving himself every race. Why? So this time, you should, once you're out in front, you should just dominate the race. Mercedes was good enough to switch the strategy up, the pit strategy, putting Lewis back almost 30 seconds, and he literally just says on the radio, how much time do I need to make up? And they said, you need to make up 28 seconds in X amount of laps. And he drove the wheels off that car.
Yeah.
Dominated. Absolutely dominated. Like, he's untouchable.
So he made up that time and won?
And won.
Jesus.
And won the race. Now, I think that anyone that watched the race, I think that...
What's a lap time around that track?
I think it was 1:30? A minute 30 laps, I think.
So you're making up 33% of the length of the track.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I don't know, anyone who's not an F1 fan or a racing fan, I don't know if you realise how big a deal that is. But can you imagine having the 100-metre sprints at the Olympics? Because this is the Olympics, it's the highest possible level. And you go down by 30 metres in the 100-metre sprint and you still come back to win?
Yeah.
That's major.
And Red Bull could have done a different strategy, but they still, like, I think even if they did, Lewis is just too strong. And everyone says, oh, it's just because he's got the best car.
It's not.
No, well, he still has to pass people, and he passes them.
Yeah.
The other guy that's got the same car, Valtteri Bottas, can't pass. He's not passed anyone.
Yeah.
And Lewis is just making him... He's just truly one of the greatest... Like, if you want to watch history being made, you need to watch Formula One this year. He's going to be the 8th... this year, if he wins championships, it's his 8th, which is the highest, the winningest of
Schumacher had 7.
7, yep, so he's equal 7 now.
Which, again, Schumacher was the previous GOAT, and he was exactly the same as Hamilton. He was very fortunate to be in the best car in the grid at the time, but he made the most out of it.
Well, the best driver always gets the best car.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, why wouldn't you? Exactly right. Because the best car and the best team want the best driver to drive that thing.
Yep. He just got his 100th pole position. And this is the other thing you've got to silence the haters is he's won championships in other cars. He won it in a McLaren, that wasn't the strongest car at the time, but like a lot of people haven't liked the man, but you got to respect him as a race car driver. He is. We are witnessing history when you watch him. He is the greatest driver to have ever entered the sport, in my opinion.
I think there's a little bit of
racism.
Yeah, and it might not be conscious racism, but I think it's like, when probably a really good example is when you watch fights, and generally, if you don't know who's fighting, the majority of people tend to back the person who looks the same as them. I think it's just a natural thing a lot of people do. Yeah. And I would, and again, this is an assumption, a potentially racist assumption, but I would assume that the majority of people who watch Formula One and are involved in Formula One are possibly lighter skinned people.
Oh, it's a white person sport for sure.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
it's obviously an elite sport because it's got so much money in it. So
It's so expensive to get into as well.
yeah. So I think it's sort of like the Tiger Woods effect too, right?
Yeah.
Like when Tiger first came through, he wasn't the most popular guy at all, but he just kept winning. And he
Yeah.
just kept winning, and he just kept winning until his greatness was absolutely undeniable.
That's probably the best. Like marker of where
Because
it's
it's
at.
elite sports
White person
dominated by
sport.
white people.
Yeah.
Where these superior athletes have just come through and have just forced their way into their positions that they're in.
Through pure success.
Yeah, pure skill, hard work.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, in Drive to Survive, and it's the same story that you heard Kobe talking about it, you heard Michael Jordan talking about it. First to get there and last to leave.
Yeah.
It's just you put the work in.
Yeah. Because Hamilton didn't come from money, did he?
No.
Like his parents were not well off.
Dad had to work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Dad did all the work on the carts.
Sacrifice went into Hamilton's career.
Yeah. And now he's one of the highest paid. I think he's the second highest paid now because I think McGregor earned more than him this year.
Yeah, but that wasn't from sports.
Endorsements.
No, he sold Proper 12.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and I think he sold that for like $150 million or something.
To the guy
his stake in it anyway.
That he sucker punched at the bar for not drinking it.
No,
I stand with the other guy. It tastes like shit. It's a bad product.
Look, it doesn't taste like shit. It's not the worst whiskey I've ever had, but mate, Conor McGregor, the most bitter dude on the planet.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Like his story is such a rags to riches tale. He should be the most grateful, happiest dude on the fucking planet, and he's just bitter. And like, to his credit, he foresaw greatness in himself.
Yeah.
And he strove to achieve that greatness. But man, he's still one insecure dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is.
The behaviour that he's made. So if people don't really know what we're talking about. So Conor McGregor, biggest MMA star on the planet, made $100 million a few years ago when he boxed Floyd Mayweather.
In one fight.
He topped the Forbes highest paid athletes list for last year, which for an MMA fighter is obscene. But again, it's not really from his MMA earnings.
He didn't fight last year.
No, he fought once.
Okay.
No.
No, he didn't. No, it wouldn't have been 2020. Nothing happened in 2020.
I thought he did.
Must have been 2019.
No, he fought last year because he got beaten by Dustin Poirier. Or was that early this year?
I don't think it wouldn't have been 20.
Anyway,
It doesn't matter.
But he was the highest paid athlete last year because he earned $180 million last year. And again, the majority of that is from selling his stake in Proper 12. So the guy's got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. And he is a super athlete. But a few years ago, when he released his whiskey brand, he went into a bar in Ireland, and there was an old boy sitting at the bar, and he ordered a Jameson, and Conor basically was like, "Nah, drink Proper 12," and then the guy just goes, "Nah, I don't want to drink that shit. I drink Jameson," and Conor McGregor sucker punched an old man.
Yeah.
Now that's bad enough.
Yeah.
Now, what has happened over the last, I think it was month or so, so since Conor's made all this money, he bought the bar that happened in and banned that old boy from it.
Yeah, that's insane.
What a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Conor fan, man. I love Conor McGregor. I love what he's done for himself and for the sport. You're a fuckwit, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that is, if you want real street credit, what you should have done is you should have bought the bar. You should have brought in a special chair for that boy, put his fucking name on it, reserve it for him, and he can have free Jameson for life in that bar.
Yeah.
Because he's an old boy. He's not hanging around for much longer.
Yeah.
He's probably only drinking 1 or 2 when he goes in there.
Or he should have employed the old boy to make Proper 12 taste good.
Yeah, just relabel a Jameson bottle.
Have you had more Proper 12 or more Jameson?
Oh, I've had way more Jameson.
Well, and it's not for no reason.
Well, it's also because Proper 12 is more expensive.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much? No, I thought they were only $50.
Yeah, Jameson you get for like $42 a bottle.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll save that $8. I will save it.
Yeah, but it sucks. Proper 12 is not a good drip.
No, it's not. Like, put it this way, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like, I had doubts about it because I'm like, it's just Any famous person who comes out with their own line of an alcohol, normally I have the bar's usually pretty low. So whiskey I'm cool with, if you want to go, because there's a little bit of skill and nuance that goes into making whiskey. What I don't like is when any celebrity comes out and endorses their new vodka, because a sign of purity in vodka is it tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
So you're paying overs for essentially alcohol that tastes like nothing.
I thought I read something that there is no different way to make vodka. It's the same. It's always the same. Now, you could get your water from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's but it's the same. But then again, I had some $10 bottle that felt like it was ripping the insides.
Oh yeah.
No, sorry, there is a difference. There is a. I think it's much like sake. There's like a make one then add alcohol, or there's one where you naturally make, like, where you put it all together, I believe, and then it creates the alcohol or something.
Either way, the amount of flavour profiles available in vodkas is not in the same ballpark as whiskey.
So if you're going to have a drink, what would your, like, if Jason Von Cannell the drink, what's the drink?
As in, like, if I'm creating my own drink?
Yeah. And your face is going to be on it.
And my face is going to be on the bottle. That's an interesting question. I probably should have come in prepared for this one. But I would say that, well, look, for a start, it'd be cheap. It would definitely be cheap. It'd be real cheap. It'd be in every man's drink because, like, I like to drink regularly. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a top shelf kind of guy.
Definitely not.
As a relatively tall man, I can reach the top shelf, but I choose not to.
Yep.
I also
You've got calluses on your knees because of how lower the shelf you go.
Ever since my knee surgery, I've actually been working on my mobility, particularly in my deep squat.
Yeah.
So now I can do, like, the Asian squat.
Yep.
And that's usually, I do the Asian squat, and that's where I pick the drinks off the shelf, the lowest shelf. So it'll be cheap for a start. Now, it would be a whiskey, because whiskey is my spirit of choice now. I would say that there would be, look, I really like caramels, but like there'd be like a slight hint of caramel, but also there would be hints of the Colonel's secret herbs and spices in there.
So I know. Do you know how you do this? So you have the whiskey. It's not distilled, is it? But barreled in a KFC bucket.
Ooh. Or do you just get a whiskey barrel and you just, like, you put the whiskey in there and then you throw in like a
kilo of popcorn chicken.
No, it's got to be 20 pieces of hot and spicy, and you just throw it in there and you just let it ferment. So that's what it would be. It would be cheap KFC whiskey with a hint of caramel.
And
line up.
Price
investors.
point for a 750ml bottle.
So Jameson's like $41-42 from Dan Murphy's.
Yeah, I'm disgusted that you're even comparing.
It'd be close. Quality wise, it'd be close.
Doesn't sound like it.
I would say
caramel KFC whiskey is what you said.
Mate, it sounds good. Like, I'm getting thirsty when we talk. It's got to be like $30 a bottle for a 750.
I was thinking it's $19.95. It's one of those ones that is at, like,
it's $19.95 if you buy a box of 6.
It's got, you know, when you go there and it's got one row of it, like just one solitary row next to, like, the pillar.
You don't mean horizontal row.
Oh, no.
You're talking the Z-axis.
The Z, yeah. It's in the Z. It's in the Z. One row of Z.
No, what you do is you still make it, like $30 a bottle, but $19.95 each if you can buy a box of 6. But then you only put 5 on the shelf.
Oi.
Hey, scarcity.
Bit of FOMO. You reckon the FOMO will work?
What would your alcohol be?
Who said alcohol? I said drink. Mine would be a tin of Milo, but like an Alex version of the Milo with lower GI.
With lower GI?
Yeah. Definitely more sugar. It would be something, yeah, I think if there's one drink that I can have at any time of the day. See, I feel bad drinking whiskey at 9 o'clock in the morning.
No.
but I don't feel bad having a
kids,
Milo.
mate. You fit it in when you can.
But you can have Milo at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I would have a real competitor to Milo because nothing's come close.
Why wouldn't you do a Milo whiskey?
I have thought of that, or even like a Milo
Have you ever
craft
just mixed
beer.
one at home? You know how you do your infinity bottles? Just put a couple of scoops of Milo in there.
I
See how it
might.
goes.
Well, yeah, the stuff that I just put in that plantation pineapple is disgusting. So that might get a couple of teaspoons of Milo.
If you do, you've got to actually film like an expose on it, and we can launch it up on Instagram. So
I have actually got a Milo skit that I'm going to do.
oh, is it something to do with Milo cops?
No. That's hacky. That's hacky.
You know the shelf that I get my alcohol off? That's also where I get my humor. The lowest.
No, I think because Red Bull they don't make the drink, so they source the drink from somewhere else,
Right.
and it's purely just a marketing company. So that Aldi stuff that we get is the same stuff.
Mm.
They're the actual everyone just goes
it's
and
99 cents a can.
yeah, they just go and buy it from a manufacturer.
Yeah.
And then label it. So I thought, you could do an energy drink, but energy drinks are so bad for you. Like whiskey's better for you than what those energy drinks are. But the best thing for you, because I remember up until they changed the regulations around the health star ratings, I think the health stars used to be a 4, now it's a 2.
Yeah, do you remember when back in the day when we were kids and Milo was huge? It was seen as like a healthy drink.
Yeah,
For
for
children.
sure. Yeah.
And they're like, it's got so much energy in it. Like, yeah, because it's sugar. It's like
Look at these
sugar and
people.
chocolate.
Look at these people on isogenics now. That's all that is.
Oh, yeah, it's the same
It's
thing.
just sugar.
I feel so good when I'm on my isogenics.
Yeah, you're on ice.
And then 5 minutes after I have it, I need to have another one. But it's healthy.
Well, yes, the money that makes it feel good.
Oh, yeah. Which is why they have to get people to sell it for you. That's why you lose all your friends when you're on isogenics. Now, there's a few other things I want to speak about this week, because there's been a little bit of stuff going on. I wanted to briefly touch on my brush with death that I had during the week.
Yeah.
Now, not illness-based brush with death, but because I was ill at the time, I probably reacted to it in, like, more scared than I probably would have.
I think you reacted correctly, but anyway.
Right. So what happened was, so I got a barbecue out the back of my house, and
Outside
barbecue. It's beautiful too because it's like plumbed into the gas line, so I never have to worry about replacing gas bottles and stuff. It's the best. So I use it all the time. And
Is it plumbed into next door's gas lines? Is that why you never have to replace that gas too?
I wish. So anyway, the other night, I've gone out the back to turn the barbecue on, because obviously you're warming up first. And where it's situated, so you sort of, as you walk out the back door of my house, it's directly in front of you, but between the back door, and there's like a little step that you can step down from the back door, there's like a long table with chairs, and there's this bar thing that we're going to be getting rid of. And then, so essentially the barbecue is straight ahead, past the bar, and then there's like a corner, right? So the bar goes into sort of the wall, so it's like a corner sort of thing. So it's a closed off corner area. And it's pretty dark out there, even when you've got the lights on, because the lights aren't great at illuminating the barbecue area. So anyway, I wander out there and open the barbecue up, go to turn it on, and out of the corner at the bottom of the barbecue, I just see some movement, and it's a snake. And it's about just over 1 meter long, I reckon, brown.
Yeah.
And now, growing up on Tambury Mountain, I worked in the bush for 5 years at Adventure Park, so I'm pretty used to snakes. But the thing that I've come to realise, I'm pretty used to certain types of snakes.
Right.
Because
you can recognise them quicker.
Yeah, exactly right. So I've seen this thing and it's brown and it looks. I thought it was a brown snake originally. So I'm like freaked out, right? Because it's right under my feet, and I've sort of bailed back towards where the step is, the back step. But I'm looking at it because I'm trying to identify what this thing is, right? And again, like now, it's scarier for me now being a parent because of Nate. right? Like, I don't normally care about snakes. Amanda hates them. Amanda, like, we had a brown snake in our pool 2 years ago. I don't think Amanda's been in the pool much since then. I think she's maybe been in the pool 5 times in 2 years.
So you're going back to the step.
So I'm standing on the step, and I'm, like, crouching down, almost Asian squat, but more, like...
Caucasian.
More Caucasian.
Up.
Like, on
heels
my
off the
toes,
ground.
Ready, heels are off the ground.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to anchor myself.
Yeah.
I want to move.
And because you're white, your heels don't go to the ground, like mine.
Well, mine can.
Yeah, mine don't.
Yeah. But that's rehab from knee surgery.
Right.
I couldn't do it for you. So, I'm crouched down, and I'm looking over at this thing, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And it's sort of like up against the wall. And I'm like looking at it, and then it rears up a little bit, because I'm still pretty close. I'm probably 2 meters away from it. And it rears up a little bit. And to me, with all the snakes that I'm used to on Tambo, that's usually a sign that it's venomous, because most snakes will rear up at you if they go, right? A lot of the non-venomous, like pythons and stuff I'm used to from the mountain, they'll just bail.
Yep.
So the fact this thing was standing its ground and rearing at me, I was like, ugh. So I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? And then anyway, then out of the corner of my eye, I look down, and there's another one right at the bottom of the step that I'm fucking standing on. And I shat my pants and ran back inside the house, closed the glass door, because shout out to my stepsister Stacey, her little dog has actually ripped a small hole through our fly screen on the back screen door. So it's a perfectly snake-sized hole for stuff to come through the screen door. So I got to close.
She's
the
your
glass
sister-in-law.
Yeah.
You said stepsister.
Ah, sorry, sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Right. What? Yeah, the sister-in-law. Anyway, so I'll bow back inside, and I'm like sweating. And normally, again, like I said, used to snakes, used to dealing with them out in the bush and stuff like that. But in my head, I'm like, there's 2 brown snakes outside, and this is a massive issue. Because meanwhile, inside, Nate's like running around, like banging on the windows and stuff like that. So we put Nate to bed, and anyway, so I'm like, I need to at least get these things away from the house. So I've grabbed the broom, which is the closest thing, because normally I've got my tactical shovel, which is out the back, which is for cane toads. But it was out and around the corner. So I've grabbed the broom, and I've gone out, and I've shooed these things away back into the yard. And then I was doing a bit more research. I didn't get a chance to take a photo of them or anything like that, but I've done a bit of research since then. And in fortunate news, I'm pretty sure these things are what I call keelback snakes, which are primarily found around wetlands.
Right.
And they eat things, they actually eat cane toads, like small cane toads, which is a good thing because we get so many of them, because we are literally right off the back of a nature reserve. But they also eat small lizards. And our house is like covered in geckos.
Yeah, okay.
So it would make sense that these 2 snakes had come up looking for food, because it was also like a remarkably hot day the other day. So anyway, I feel a lot better about it because keelbacks are non-venomous. And they apparently do rear up, but it is a defensive thing.
Sure.
So yeah, feel way better about that. But I literally shit my pants.
I would, if I would have seen the one in the barbecue, I would have made my own 1 meter brown snake. And I don't mind snakes either, but I think the difference is too, and probably why you sweat so much, was when you're out in the bush, you're supposed to see snakes there. But when you're cooking at home, you're not supposed to see snakes.
Yeah, well that is true. And like it is, it's funny, right? Like I remember when I worked at Adventure Park, and I'd have all these parents coming in who were never scared of heights until they had children. And it's like this thing happens to you where it's like, all of a sudden, it's not about you anymore, and you've got someone else to live for and someone else to take care of.
Yeah, it's
so
pussy.
therefore...
That's so pussy.
Well, you can say that if you want. But it's
I can say that, because I don't feel
like... you have kids, yeah. But it's like, the first thought that went through my mind is, I don't want these snakes getting inside tonight. And that's what was making me sweat. Or, if I got bitten by one or something like that and I died, then... You know, it's not like I'm providing for Nate because I'm not working at the moment, but you know, I'm taking care of him, that sort of thing. So it's like the stakes are higher now. And again, it's just like, because we've had a lot of like green tree snakes around the house, perfectly fine, used to those. And seeing these two, they're the first two keelbacks I've seen since we were there, and to see them both on the same night, I was like, fuck, it's like something given birth in the yard or something.
I've never even heard of that snake before.
Well, no, I hadn't either. So, but I did do heaps of research trying to identify what these things are. They're found in the area, they're primarily around wetlands, and all the food that they would normally be looking for is around our house, so it made perfect sense.
So what can you do to help snakes not hang around your house?
So I think there's probably a few things. Number one, and we probably need to do this anyway, but we probably need to fumigate, because obviously we've got some pest species around. Like there's like a couple of cockroaches around and stuff like that, just around naturally in the area. So I think those things bring in the geckos, and then the geckos bring in the snakes, because it's just, you just got to think everything is chasing their food, right? The other thing too, and I feel like this kind of sucks. I feel like we're seeing a bit more activity out the back because I put in a compost heap. So now the compost heap's attracting bugs.
Right.
And now there's more food for like the geckos, for example. So I feel like there's more activity out there because I've got the compost heap there. So I'm tossing up whether or not I continue to do that, which is a bit disappointing. But that's literally all we can do, really. But at the end of the day, at least I know these things are non-venomous, so I'm a little bit less concerned about it.
Is Amanda less concerned about it?
Oh no, she absolutely hates snakes.
See, that's the beauty of unit living, is there's no snakes in units. Never had a snake ever in a unit.
But there probably is. It's probably one in your roof.
No, I don't have a roof. That's someone's floor. There is a solid concrete barrier.
Yeah, it could be on walls or something like that.
Nah, it's concrete.
One in 3 houses in Queensland have a snake in them.
Not units. That's houses.
The irony of it, so this was on, I think this was on Sunday, on Mother's Day. And the irony of the whole thing was that Amanda's mum, like we went out to the park with her for Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers out there, by the way. Happy Mother's Day. It's amazing the things that you guys do. But
it's amazing the things that single non-mothers do too. Good on you. And men. I do some pretty amazing things.
Yeah. But you wouldn't be you without a mum.
That's true.
There would be none of us without mums. Or dads.
Love to celebrate Mother's Day, but it's not happening, is it?
No, mum's too difficult.
She moved
Mum,
the time.
stop doing stuff.
I hit her up. She moved the time.
Yeah.
She got a better offer.
Yeah, exactly.
She got a better offer.
And hey, I'm pretty sure most mothers for Mother's Day really just want some time to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough, Mum.
Yeah. Saves me a
Mother's
trip to
Day.
the Gold Coast. I'm happy with that.
But ironically, Amanda's mum was literally asking me because she's got some sort of creature in her roof. She's like, "You're not scared of snakes and stuff. Can you have a look at my roof?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool, no problem." And it was that night that I had 2 snakes out the back. And then my bumhole's puckering. So maybe I'm more scared of snakes than I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting time. The other thing I wanted to bring up, so obviously I'm just recovering from illness at the moment, not COVID, got tested. The only place that I could get in to see Nate because of the COVID-like symptoms was your old stomping ground.
Yeah.
So a bit of a bizarre experience for me this week, where the place that you started your career in automotive, Surfers City Holden in Ashmore, that sold a few years ago. Eager sold it. And I was always wondering what was going to go in there because it's such a massive site.
Yeah.
And I was expecting them to like knock it down and do something else with it.
Yeah.
But it's still there. And it's now turned into a medical centre.
Yeah.
And it's literally just opened a few weeks ago, I think. And so they were the only people on the Gold Coast who would see Nate without Nate getting COVID tested. And he had like an ear infection, so it's all like swollen stuff, so I don't really want him jabbing the nose swab up. When I got my COVID test, actually, now that I think about it, she did the back of my throat first and then did the nose. I don't know why they still need to do the nose thing.
I don't know why. Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. So because I had
At least you're not getting the Chinese one.
Yeah. I'd prefer the Chinese one. I've lived in Chinese.
Isn't that... Did we talk about that from Idiocracy? Remember the test thing that they do?
No, we
like this,
haven't.
put this one in your mouth, put this one in your ear, put this one in your butt. Oh, no, wait, it's this one.
Yeah. Terrible movie, wasn't it?
Great movie.
When I rewatched it. But, yeah, so I've been a bit pissed off with medical care. And again, because I've never been to the doctors, really, in my entire life until now, like having a kid. And then now it's this whole thing of no one will see you unless you get a COVID test. Or no one will see Nate, who's an infant, unless you get a COVID test for him. And it's frustrating. But this place is just open. So Surf City Holden's now a medical centre. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It was bizarre. So for one, it's like an emergency one, so you can't make appointments, you just have to walk in. And I called them first going, hey, no one else will see us. They're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because they obviously don't care. They're probably being a new centre, they might want to build up their client base. And being that no one else is seeing anyone who's got flu-like symptoms at the moment, coming into flu season, it's a pretty good money-making exercise to do that. But I got to admit, it was bizarre driving in there. It was just a bizarre experience. Because you drive in, all the car parks are the same. So like where the service department used to be at the front and all that stuff's still the same. But you walk in and there's all the offices lined up that always used to be there. They're all closed because they're I think they've only got 4 doctors working there or something at the moment. But they've got like 8 or 10 offices or whatever it is.
So on the showroom floor?
On the showroom floor.
So the doctors are in the offices on the showroom floor?
Yeah.
So they had cubicles. What do they do with the cubicles?
So the cubicles are all gone. Like basically the showroom is all one big open space now. So it's like they've knocked out that stuff all down and they put a reception desk in the middle.
Sure.
And there's like airport style seating all around. Okay. Like you could probably fit 100 people in there.
Yeah, easy.
Seated.
Yeah. Upstairs?
I don't think they're doing anything with upstairs yet, which is funny because all Nate wanted to do was play going upstairs. And because you can't make an appointment, you have to wait. So I had to wait for like an hour. So Nate's like running amok around this place.
What about the site next to it? Was that being used?
As in like the old Saab showroom. I don't know if they're linked anymore. I feel like
they may have separated it.
I think they've separated it because I feel like there was a fence between the two.
Well, there's a wall, a whole workshop wall.
Yeah.
That separates the two. And then there's like a third site, which is diagonally out the back.
Out the back, which I'm pretty sure that's been separated as well. Because that's been walled off out the back.
Yeah. I started there, it was like 17 or 18 years ago.
You were 17 years old when you started there. It was an absolutely bizarre experience.
Yeah, I bet.
Like just imagine somewhere that's pretty, and mainly for you, but I'd spent a lot of time at Surf City Holden back in the day, because I used to come visit you. I remember your old boss lent me a car for my formal.
Yeah. I suppose it's just an age thing, right? We have nostalgic feelings because there were things that we used to deal with. It just seems something so big that's now something different. But I suppose with Holden leaving, you see a lot of that. And there was a guy I follow on Facebook, and he's going around to like every old Holden site, taking photos of it, and there's nostalgia. There's a 120-year-old company, that's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a bit of nostalgia there. The one thing that I don't like about it is that I dislike how lucrative medical is when medical is paid for by the taxpayer. Because that's an expensive site. So I thought the only thing that could go in there would be a supermarket. But I think because there's an Aldi backing onto it, you probably can't have a Woolies and then you probably can't, especially because over the road you've got Ashmore City, which has got Coles Drake, whatever they call that, Drake IGA.
Yeah. And you're right, like, it is crazy to think how lucrative medical is. And it's, that brings in a whole conversation about things in the last 12 months and the lack of messaging around the things that people should just be doing every single day to keep themselves fit and healthy, because there's no money in all of us just being fit and healthy on our own. And you're right, like the fact that a doctor's surgery can take over a site that big and only have 4 doctors in there. Yeah. It's crazy. And like even...
Because I think that was about... Now, for all 3 sites, 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I think that was 150 grand a month to rent. Yeah. So even if it's only 50 grand a month, because if they're only using, say, 1/3 of it, but the most prominent third, even if it was only 50, and that's not taking any... I'm sure it's more than that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of rent, you know. That's a lot of money incoming for 4 doctors.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Like the amount of money in the medical world is crazy.
The doctors aren't driving Camrys.
Nah. And then you know you wonder why. Well, for a start, yeah, you wonder why doctors aren't driving Camrys. But yeah, money makes the world go around, and you know, like we've said a million times in the past, you follow the money, and when you follow the money and you realise that all the money goes into us not being fit and healthy, then you start to realise why, you know, maybe we should be looking at some alternative things to, well, not even alternative, just eat right, you know, eat right, exercise.
Look after your mental health.
Yeah, get in the sun.
Reduce the amount of alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, the whole sunlight thing, the CDC in America just announced, I think it was a week ago, that there's like 0 documented cases of transmission of COVID out in the open. There's actually 0.
Yeah.
So because apparently it doesn't like UV light,
Yeah.
which would also explain why we've been pretty fortunate in this country because we've got so much sunlight.
Yeah.
You know, just get out in the sun, guys.
And Trump was right when he said get a UV light on it.
Yeah, and I said this to you during the week. The worst possible thing about the COVID response was that it was so politicized by America, and that a lot of things that Trump said in the beginning have turned out to be true and correct. But he was the demon last year, so the media demonized him and everything that he said, and then now we're living with the results of that. So
We're not.
No, we're not. We're not. We are very, very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. But to get onto a different subject, which is another thing that you won't care about. But a lot of the dads or the mums who watch the podcast will. One of the things that I've been doing a lot in the last 2 weeks because I've been housebound is watching a lot of Bluey. And you've heard of Bluey, haven't you?
No.
So Bluey is a children's cartoon, and it's the only cartoon that Nate gets to watch because it's an Australian-made cartoon about a family of dogs. And Bluey is the oldest daughter. And there's Mum and Dad, Bluey, and Bingo is the younger sister. Now, if you're a parent and you don't watch Bluey, you need to watch Bluey because it's actually a show that's designed... I think that there's more messaging in there for parents than there is for kids. And it's like, Nate loves it when the theme music comes on, he like dances and stuff, it's really cute. But I was watching an episode the other day called Flat Pack, and they're like 7-minute episodes, so they're really good little short bites, right? Made for little attention spans. And this episode about Flat Pack is essentially there's 2 things going on in the story where Mum and Dad have got Flat Pack stuff from IKEA that they're trying to put together, and everyone knows how frustrating that can be. So they're experiencing those frustrations. And the kids are playing a game where they're pretending to be different things. And there is so much nuance in this one little episode, it's crazy. Because the kids are pretending that Bluey's like the mummy of whatever Bingo is. So there's like a mother-daughter type relationship there. But they're going through like the evolutionary story. So they start as like fish and then they become lizards and then like... So they're teaching like evolution while that's going on. Meanwhile, Mum...
But that's wrong.
We were just created by our creator. So they're teaching evolution. Meanwhile, Mum and Dad are trying to build a flat pack, and that's hilarious because they're like hitting each other with hammers and all that sort of stuff. And Mum and Dad are like throwing, like whether it's cardboard boxes or plastic or whatever, down onto the lawn where the kids are playing, and then the kids using their imaginations like, oh, let's pretend this is a volcano, then they become like dinosaurs and whatever. So they go through evolution until they become like cavemen or cave dogs, so to speak. And then, but as the kids go through these different evolutions, also Bingo is pretending that she's growing up. So she goes from being like a baby to being a toddler to being a teenager. And then there's this point right at the end of the show where, so Mum and Dad finally end up putting together what it is they're putting together, which is like an outdoor swinging chair thing that they're up on the deck. And they've thrown all this plastic stuff down on the ground. And then Bingo basically says, I'm all grown up now, so she's built a rocket ship and she's going to go and explore space. So then Bingo leaves, and then Bluey says, well, what do I do now? And all the plastic and stuff that they were using to build, they built up like a plastic, like a white plastic archway. And if you look up through the archway, it goes up the stairs, and there's mum and dad sitting in the chair that they've built.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go, "Hey, Bluey, come up here." So then Bluey comes up and sits on the chair with them, and then they're sort of looking out onto the yard as Bingo's flying around in space, and Dad just goes, "This is heaven," and then the episode finishes.
That is heavy.
Oh, I fucking cried, dude. I cried when I watched that. I was sitting on the couch. Now, I might have been an absolute pussy because I was sick.
Yeah.
So when I get sick, I get
But that's heavy.
very, very whingy. This is heavy, man.
Yeah.
It was heavy because it like you're sitting there as a parent and you're watching Bingo as she goes through all the different phases.
Yeah.
And you're like I look at Nate, the baby phase is over.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
I've only had him for 15 months.
Yeah.
The baby, he's a toddler now.
Yeah.
So it really made me go, holy shit. Like, there's days when I'm at home where, especially when I'm sick, like, you get frustrated because the reason why it takes me so long to recover now is I can't rest. Like, Amanda, she is the absolute bomb. Her immune system is ridiculous for a start because she's used to all these child-based pathogens. She does so much stuff. But when I'm sick and I'm at home with Nate, you literally can't rest because you've got to be doing stuff for him all the time. So you can't just go and put your feet up in bed for a day and then be better the next day. So sometimes I'll get frustrated because of that.
Sure.
But then I literally watched that episode of Bluey and I was like, I can't get frustrated because I need to enjoy this while I still can. Because life is fleeting. It can be over in a second. And I think we've spoken about this before, is when you're always thinking about, I'm waiting for this thing to happen for me to be happy in the future, you miss so much of what's happening right now.
Tash and I had the same feeling last night. We were watching documentaries on North Korea.
Right.
And what a day in the life of those people in North Korea.
Yeah, that can put your life in perspective, can't it?
So we were saying, like, imagine if we just had, like, a North Korean person here and just having the option to go to the cupboard and pull out any food that you want.
Yeah.
They've been their rations are down to half a cup of rice per day.
Yeah, wow.
Right. It's so it does put things into a massive amount of perspective. Little moments like that. So we absolutely do need to enjoy it.
And you need to appreciate it, which means eat those biscuits. Eat those biscuits.
Well, no, because you need to make sure that you can enjoy moments all the time.
Yeah, well, that is the point too. But yeah, man, like Bluey, it's an amazing show. It's got like taking the world by storm. It's very Aussie, and Amanda was telling me about one of her friends who's got, I think, a 4-year-old. Like the dad's very much just like the mum and dad are very funny. Like they're a typical Aussie parenting pair, right? Very colloquial. So the dad like calls the daughter's like mate all the time.
Yeah.
So apparently this friend of Amanda's 4-year-old daughter will be like, "Yeah, mate," like to her dad all the time. "Yeah, mate, it's not like, okay, mate," like, which is quite funny, right?
Yeah.
It's a great show. It is actually a great show.
I'm not watching it.
You probably shouldn't because I think it's weird when you don't have kids.
Yeah, I'm watching The Sopranos.
Yeah, you should watch that because that's not a family.
Yeah,
it's another family-based show.
They've got family issues as well.
Yep.
People go to heaven.
Yeah, but dude, that episode heavier than anything you'll see on The Sopranos.
What's the lesson that we've learned out of today's episode?
We've probably learned that I've had 2 weeks of spending time at home because the majority of things are home-based.
Yeah.
And you should jump on and buy my KFC with a hint of caramel whiskey.
I think also we need to be careful of who we are putting at the top of our... I don't want to say idolise because I don't like that terminology, but how some of the greats can get things wrong, i.e. Elon, i.e. Broncos, i.e.
There's a big movement on billionaires at the moment, isn't there? Like obviously Elon, that's a misstep. You got the Bill and Melinda Gates thing, like them splitting up, which it is, the timing's intriguing of that because Bill's been a pretty well-known philanderer, not just a philanthropist for...
He's not a philanderer.
No, he is.
No, he's not. What makes you think he's a philanderer?
Look into it, bro.
He's been on Epstein's Island a couple times, and he had it written into his prenup that he was allowed to have dinner with his ex.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't have dinner. It was go away for 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
With his ex.
Yeah, so that's not philandering.
But the guy is obviously smart enough to, create Microsoft. He's smart enough to lead the, vaccines,
sell
response against all these different diseases in the world.
And retain the IP the whole way through.
And retain the IP. There's he's that smart. There's absolutely no reason to suggest that he wouldn't have had any idea what was happening with those 14-year-old girls on Epstein's sex island.
I feel like the Broncos have an opportunity to sign Melinda Gates because she's built like a brick shit house.
Mate, we've got a good forward pack, but we could always use an extra reserve. I reckon she could make it in that team at the moment, for sure. Look, watch this space. It'll be very, very interesting. But you are seeing, movements on billionaires because obviously Bill is a billionaire. Fun fact: he owns the most farmland in America.
Yeah,
Bill Gates. So riddle me that. But obviously you've had Bill Gates maybe on a bit of the come down. You've got obviously Elon misstep. He's not on the come down, so to speak, yet, but I feel like...
Oh, this has upset a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And, look, I do honestly feel like there's probably a lot more going on behind the scenes where Elon is trying... Because he needs to have his commercial interests strong to be able to do all the things that he wants to do. So I do feel like that when he moved from a blue state to a red state, he lost a lot of blue customers who would buy electric cars, and he's trying to appease those people. But the problem is when you play the politics game, you always, it's so polarized in America at the moment, you're going to piss one side off with every move you make. So you end up getting to a point where you're a villain to both sides, because, who was it, was it Michael Jordan back in the day who said Republicans buy shoes too?
No, I don't know.
Can't remember who it was. It was an NBA, so it must have been Michael Jackson. And
Michael Jackson?
Republicans buy them too.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure it was Michael Jordan back in the 90s. There was something to do with some sort of civil rights movement or whatever. And being the first, not the first, but one of the most high-profile black sports people in the world at the time, they were like, we need you to comment on this issue. And it was obviously a pro-Democrat type based issue. And he refused to comment on it. And they're like, why do you refuse to comment on it? And he goes, because Republicans buy shoes too. So he was actually smart enough to stay out of the politics. And you're seeing that stuff with LeBron James these days. LeBron's pissed off a lot of people because, mate, you can be one of the greatest basketballs of all time, but if you're going to come out and speak on social issues, you got to be consistent. And he's a hypocrite because he was a massive force for the Black Lives Matter movement. And that's great because that's your people and you want to back him. And I get that. But you've got so much commercial money tied up in China and you refuse to comment on any of the issues that are happening in China at the moment because it affects your bottom line. That's not good enough, mate. Yeah. So if you want to be the man, you've either got to speak about all of it or speak about none of it.
Correct. Because and I'm okay with both.
I'm okay with both as well.
Either.
Yeah, either or. I'm okay with, because I completely understand it. This is your livelihood. You are setting up generational wealth, which not only can set up your family for generations, but can set up your community. He does a lot of good things. He's built a college in his hometown. He funds scholarships. He does a lot of things for his people, and that's great. That is an amazing thing to do. But the problem is, he sells himself out for money.
Yeah.
He sells his morals out for money. So you cannot be on your moral high horse when anyone else who is looking at you from any perspective can go, yeah, but why do these people's lives matter but those people's don't?
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan, before his time, mate, smart enough to know I'm the best basketballer on the planet. That's all I need.
Yeah.
I don't need to be some sort of social justice martyr.
Yep.
Because I'm just the man at basketball. I'm the best guy putting a ball in a hoop on the planet. And that's me.
Just stay out of it and just do. And that's how I feel about that. Well, I'm changing my feelings about how I react to things I hear now. It's like, well, is it going to affect me? I'll just make sure that I'm a good person. I'll do the right thing in myself, and I'm not going to broadcast stuff that's crap. I'm not going to. It doesn't matter. Just keep my circle. You know, I'll have a conversation with someone, but I'm not going to buy into it.
No, that's right. And because the thing is too, like all these things are about nuance and perspective.
For sure.
Like, you know, you could, like I made the joke, I think on the podcast like probably months ago, but about when Star Wars came out, and I was like, did Americans realize that they're the Empire? Yeah. And none of them did, right? Because everyone, like you identify with the lead character in the movie. So every young American or young Westerner probably thought that they were the Luke Skywalker, but no, like you're the Empire, right? Yeah. And yeah, like you have to have perspective, because one person's hero is another person's demon, right? Like just depending on where you happen to be born in the world. Now, Australia, we're so fortunate because we're pretty far away from everyone, and we like everyone for the most part, and we're pretty inclusive people. Like, yeah, we've got a bit of reputation for being racist around the world because we probably say some dumb shit, we do some dumb things. Look, we've got very racist roots as well in how Australia came to be in the first place, which we've spoken about before. But I think overall we do a pretty good job of integrating a lot of cultures in this country. Yep. And I feel like very, very fortunate that we can do that because, I mean, I'm a big foodie. I love the fact that you can go into a food court and you can have all different types of food from all over the world. Like that, you don't have that in a lot of places. I like the fact that you're exposed to different cultures and different people and different ways of life. Like it's an amazing thing about this country. Yeah.
Well, we can always do better.
Absolutely, 100%. And we need to want to do better.
For sure.
All the time.
For sure.
And on that note, we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next RDO.